Hey, I'm Anthony, and there's only one thing I like more than fishing, and that's catching. Welcome to OC Outdoorsman. Look at that. Look at that line. Oh, I can tell you. Huge! Alright, it's day one here. Just arrived. Eastern Sears. I'm at Crowley Lake. And I just finished setting up my tent here. Using this axe/hammer to spike down my tent. So we are all set. And the water levels have dropped. This used to be all lake here. And now look at it. Man, I was just here last year. And I fished in this spot right there. Cast out a few lines now. The levels have really dropped. It's pretty sad. So much of day one was just spent traveling and setting up camp. This is the following morning. Here I'm now at the northern end of Lake Crowley. It took nearly an hour to get here because I launched from the southern end of the lake. But this is where all the fish are. Alright, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just can't catch anything on the fly, so I'll go back to what I do know. And I'm going to switch to mice tails. Make a homemade mouse tail, the chartreuse worm, and an orange head. At this point, I'd been on the lake for several hours just casting out dry flies. They're on the surface, and I wasn't seeing any action at all. The guys around me were catching fish, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to what I know best, and that's fishing with a spinning reel. So here I'm just setting up a mouse tail and I'll be casting that out. Caught something on the spinning reel. Feels like a decent trout. Oh, came off. Dang it. Alright, so I was talking to one of the anglers out here, and it turns out everyone's using wet flies. They're killing it. And I have been using dry flies the whole entire time. And I don't have wet flies. So he recommended I head into town to a local fly shop where they sell all these wet flies. You know, I thought I was prepared. I bought a brand new fly rod, reel, all the gear that you need for fly fishing, including a whole tackle box filled with dry flies. I made the assumption that since most of the insects would land on the surface, that's how the trout here would feed, but it turns out that on this side of the lake, the fish were feeding on any bugs or nymphs that would start sinking below the surface. So they would just feed on these sinking insects and gorge themselves on them. So essentially, everyone was using wet flies, and I was the only one out there casting out a dry fly. The key difference is that the wet fly will sink beneath the surface. That's because, unlike a dry fly, this one has a little sinker, that's for lack of a better word, attached to the hook. Compared to a dry fly, which has a bunch of feathers surrounding the hook, which forces it to float on the surface. So I needed to purchase a variety of wet flies. Hey guys, this is Foster.
Hello.
Welcome to MC Outdoorsman. He's gonna show me how to tie a double, what do you call them? A double...
double surgeon's knot.
Double surgeon's knot.
That's why we join two lines together.
So I found a local shop called Troutfitters. It's 14 miles north of Lake Crowley in the city of Mammoth. And what Foster's going to do here is set up what I call a double dropper loop. But it's really two flies on a single line. It's two wet flies in this case. And it's very different from ocean fishing. I could tie a double dropper loop with no problems. But here, it's quite a bit different when you're using a double or triple surgeon's loop or surgeon's knot. And you can see here, it's pretty straightforward. He makes it look easy. So as you can see here, in addition to purchasing a bunch of wet flies, I bought a variety of them. I also bought some 4X tippet, and that's what he's using now. He's tying that together to my leader line, and that's where I'm going to be attaching the wet flies. I'm here at the entrance to the northern side of Lake Crowley. I spent the previous afternoon driving all around Lake Crowley searching for this one area, and I found it. This would actually save me that 4-mile trek from the south landing to the northern end of Lake Crowley. But to get here, you need to navigate through these barriers, and they are really tight. Now, it may not be a big deal for a smaller vehicle, but when you're trying to drive a full-size truck like mine through these stone barriers, it can be a bit tricky. Once you get past those barriers, it's about 1.5 miles to get to the launch area, and as you can see, it's 34 degrees at this point, and the sun is just about to come up from over the mountains there on the horizon. I'm going to speed up the footage here because these dirt roads were super bumpy. In order to traverse this whole entire area, I had to go well below 10 miles an hour, actually between 5 to 7 miles an hour, just to get across it. You know, I spent so much time practicing my casting, and I still don't feel like I really got mastered this technique. It's a lot more challenging than I thought, but yeah, here's just some footage of me attempting to cast out the fly line here. Well, persistence pays off, and here I am catching my very first trout on my fly rod and reel. Look, guys, my first trout on a fly rod. Ooh, beautiful colors. Might be a brookie. around. I'll let him go. Gotcha. Look at that beauty. It's got to be at least 14, 15. Whoops. Wrong way, buddy. There you go. I sped up the footage here because I think my drag was set too loose, and this fish had a lot of energy. He kept taking off, making runs, pulling drag. It actually took me a little bit to bring him in. It took some effort. Maybe 12, 11 inches. I'm gonna release them. Show them, baby. It feels like a good one. He's pulling drag. Oh, this is a nice fish. That's where we're at. Nice rainbow. And he can fight. Still fighting. Gotcha.
17-inch trout.
I edited the video because it took me a while to bring this fish in, and it is exhausting for these trout, so I had to bring him back in my net to revive him, and then eventually he swam off.
Oh, there we go. Fish on, baby. Fish on. Yep, this is a better one. Ooh, that's a nice fish. Whoa! It's like a rainbow. A nice rainbow. Gotcha. Ooh, that's a nice fish. Holy cow, that's a good size. "19 inches. Explore the shoreline to see if there are any Sacramento perch here. There we go, fish on. This one's smaller. There's my yak again. One out of there. Oh, this is a nice fish. Don't break off. Pull and drag. I need to get a hat cam so you guys can see this. This guy's a fighter. He's looking good. Okay, you wanna go on this side? Fine. I'll shoot my other ones on this side. Stay away from that. back on this side. Go back on this side. Holy cow, this guy's stubborn. Wait. Oh, gotcha. Holy cow. That was ugly. That was a nice one. This might be the biggest one yet. $21. Holy cow. Big fish. Alright. Come on. It's got a little hook jaw. Look at this. 21. Alright, let's revive him. Alright, get in the water. I know you're tired. Alright. At last, fish really tangled up my tippet here. So, okay, it was a pretty good day on the water, I must say. You know what? I love fly fishing. Man, that was a blast.
Well, after a long day of fishing, there's nothing better than smoking a stogie on your yak on a peaceful lake. Well, as always, I had a fantastic time fishing Lake Crowley, and now it's time to pack my gear and head back to Orange County. And I have to tell you, I am totally hooked on fly fishing.
All right, everyone, let's take one last look at Lake Crowley. I just finished breaking down my tent and I'm preparing to leave. But you can see this is the dry camp. This is Whiskey Creek. And then in the background there is the boat ramp. You can see we're right next to it. So that's a great place to launch. If you want to fish this side of the lake along with the eastern side, I didn't get a chance to explore this time. I just focused my efforts on the north end. But you can see it's pretty hot today. I'll just pan around. This is the Eastern Sierras. Mammoth is just 13 miles north of here. Bishop is about 35 miles south. So I am getting ready to leave. You can see if you're going to take your truck, your vehicle out here, it'll get dusty, it'll get dirty. You can see I'm going to have to clean this up when I get home, but yeah, I had a great time this weekend. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It would really help out my channel. Take care, everybody.